Hi everyone, hope you're well. Aidan from Peach here. As you can see, I've got a very special guest with me today, Mr. Mark Holcomb. How are you doing, man?
Good. Yeah, good morning, or good morning for me. Good afternoon for you guys. How's it going for you?
Yeah, very well, very well. Been a very busy day. I know you said yourself it's an early one for you here. It's come to the end of our day here. So I really appreciate you jumping on and spending some time with us today.
Of course, man. Like I was telling you, I'll make anything happen for you guys. I had such a wonderful time at that clinic we did I think 4 or 5 years ago now. So I hope you guys have me back for another one. That was a lot of
Oh,
fun.
we'd love to. That's something I was going to talk to you about. Obviously, with the world being the way it was with the whole coronavirus situation, I was just wondering how that actually affected you. Were you at your hometown? Were you traveling when that all hit?
Um, I was home, and funny enough, our band, like, I guess not to say, I was about to say luckily enough, but I don't think there's anything lucky about the situation. But our band, um, Periphery, we had just finished a touring cycle for our last
Yeah.
record. So we had all just kind of settled down and said, okay, hey, time to recharge, maybe think about writing a new record. And then boom, the pandemic hit. So for us, I think our situation could have been more dire because you look at some other bands, and they had just put out new records, or they were about to
Yeah.
go out and start like a full world tour, and then the pandemic hit, and then boom, that entire record cycle in the toilet. But for us, no, we were at home, and you know, it was an excuse for all of us to just really um, focus on creativity, and that's what the past year and a half has been all about. We work pretty slow as a band,
Hmm.
but because of that, I've also been able to work on this other project I have called Haunted Shores, and that record is
Yeah.
done, coming out in I think March is when we're eyeballing it. But yeah,
Awesome.
it's been very productive despite the pandemic. It sucks because such a big part of why I enjoy doing what I do is getting out and connecting with people at clinics, at shows, and just being out there face to face. And that's obviously gone away for the time being, and who knows for however long. So that part sucks, but
Yeah.
it's been a nice excuse to like hole up and just write and write and write.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's been a very different experience for us. Obviously, as a shop and a retailer, we love having people come through the doors, trying gear from the most boutique stuff to the most affordable. All customers are always welcome, but for us having to close our doors was a really difficult
Mm.
situation. So, we're glad that the world's opening up again and we can bring people back in.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what it's like to be in your guys' position for that. But I mean, thank God you guys are on the other side. You made it through okay, which
Yeah,
is better than a lot of
really well.
other retailers can say.
Of course. And you mentioned you sort of had all that time to sort of confide yourself in and write. And I see from your guys' social platforms, you guys, are you sort of in the pre-production stage of Periphery 5 or the main tracking?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because all that stuff tends to happen at once in a lot of ways. Like
Really?
we are in the writing phase, and I would say we are about 75% done with the writing phase. But the reason our writing takes so can I say the F word? I'll just say freaking long, um, is because we're going for album takes as we write a lot of the time. And it's just the nature of how we track, it's better for us in our minds to get something that sounds as tight as a record, even if it's just for a demo, to bring the demo to life, to make it sound like a real living, breathing thing.
Hmm.
Um, and so, yeah, we're 75% into writing, but a lot of the arrangements are already done for these songs. For us, it's just a matter of making sure everything is multiple steps above anything we've ever done. So,
Yeah,
like,
of course.
I think in the band, it's funny. We've all said that we're very capable of just putting out another Periphery 2 or another Periphery 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Like, we can do that. We can do that in our sleep. In fact, we've written songs that we've scrapped because they sound too similar to what we've done already. So I think the point for us is to challenge ourselves and to, challenge our listeners. Is like, we could easily give you the same record, but we know that's not necessarily what people want, even if that's what they tell us that they want on
Oh,
Instagram
definitely.
comments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember when I first went into the last record, when I first heard Reptile from start to finish, and going off the album prior to that, it's sort of like a reinvention of what Periphery was. That song just blew me away completely.
Oh, thank you, man. That stands out as the song that I think we're all most proud of in the band up to this point. With that being said, there's some ones on this new one that are like pushing that out of the way for that
Oh,
title.
brilliant.
Some long ones. I mean, as of now, there's no 15-minute song, but I think right now there's like an 11-minute song, there's an 8-minute song, there's a 9-minute song. So it's like there's no big reptiles on it, but there's like these little mini amphibians scattered throughout the record.
Reptiles children.
Reptile children, yeah.
Really cool to hear. So, so you said you're sort of in the sort of writing process. Are we looking at sort of a next year release, or are we not putting a date on it at all at the moment?
I think it's a safe bet to say next year. I mean, with that being said, yeah, this as well as anybody, like we move slow as mud. I don't think we're shy about saying that to our fans. It's like, yeah, we're writing, but we take longer and longer with every record. So I would say next year is a safe bet.
Awesome.
But it's also been a pain in the ass because of, COVID restrictions and having to be strategic about travel and having to scatter it about in a way that like we're not putting our families at risk, especially at the beginning of the pandemic when, like I have immunocompromised people in my family and I'm trying to take care of them. There were no vaccinations. So it's like, I don't feel comfortable being on a plane, being, in a situation where I could, get it and then transfer it over to somebody in my family. So now it's much easier, but that first year was pretty tough.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we experienced it here. We had certain people that sort of have remote locations, some further up north in the country that kind of got stuck up there for a couple of weeks and then gradually moving down, and families being spread apart. Thankfully, we're all double jabbed again. The vaccinations came out and the world's slowly getting back to normal again.
Yeah, man, what a crazy it's like if you describe this, if you painted this picture to somebody like 3 years ago and told them that, hey, in late 2021 this is what life's going to be like, we're going to talk about vaccination cards at airports and vaccine passports and booster shots, it's like, wow, holy crap.
I know, but we've had a few discussions here, taking some light from the dark of the year that we've just had. So many new people picking up instruments or people coming back after giving up after years of playing. I think we're really going to see like a new boom of a new generation of players coming through.
Yeah. It's funny. I try not to sound too insensitive about this because look, this has screwed over more people than you and I can even comprehend.
Of course,
but being in a position where like I thank God every day. I'm super super fucking lucky to do what I do, and I look out to other artists as well, and like you just said, I mean, a lot of people are using this time, if they're in the position to, if they're lucky enough to be able to pursue something like getting better at the guitar, or like what I did last year was I tried to get better at home recording. So like I started to write that Haunted Shores record on my own here at home, and then I brought it to Misha's later in the year. But I mean, that is a very, very thin silver lining, is like for those lucky enough to be in a situation where, you're still able at the end of the day to put food on your table and you're still able to get through. It is a blessing. And I know in the music retail side, you guys are probably seeing some reflection of that. Is that
we had so many new people that we've known for a long time, customers that have been with us for obviously wanting to support us as a business. And obviously we had the whole furlough scheme here in the UK where the government were paying you to stay at home, and people were using their hard-earned money to support us, which we greatly appreciated during this time. But
Yeah.
like you were saying, music is a blessing to so many people, and to have that to listen to whilst at home or working in an emergency room in a COVID ward was just such a special thing.
Oof. Dude, when COVID hit, I had all this like weird latent anxiety over the uncertainty because I was like, holy fuck, like can it be transmitted through my front door? Like, can I get it from Uber Eats? Like, because nobody
Yeah,
knew, right? Like there was all this misinformation being dispersed around social media. Even the news was wrong about it. Like all major news outlets were saying different things. And like, it was just an anxious time. Am I ever going to tour again? Like, can I get on a plane ever?
yeah,
And, I imagine we were all feeling some degree of this, but like music got me through. And like I started seeing a therapist too, like at the beginning of the pandemic, just like all these things I was doing for the first time in my life with a very concentrated focus of, all right, let's take care of this first. Let's take
of
care of
course.
my
Yeah,
mental health first so I could deal with this shit. And I think that's another tiny silver lining that I'm noticing with some other people who have felt the same things is like, we coast through a lot of the times in life, and whether it's like just ignoring or talking yourself out of it or whatever, but like it got me to really concentrate on things in my life and be like, well, music is therapy for me, like listening. Like there are records that I put on now that like remind me of the beginning of the pandemic because I went back to them so often just to feel good, like,
hmm
and it got me really in tune with music that I listened to solely to feel good, and like things that I play on guitar solely to feel good. And that's a really personal thing. And it's one of the most beautiful things about playing an instrument is like knowing these things that you can go back to regularly to feel satisfied, to feel fulfilled in some way.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really cool when you can have that sort of personal connection with an artist, an album, artwork, anything. People were drawing, playing guitar, singing, vocals again.
Yeah,
It's great when you can have that connection.
definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. You mentioned briefly, obviously you're writing the new Periphery album, but you also have your project with Misha, Haunted Shores. I just wondered if you could talk a little bit. I know this is going on sort of later albums now, but how that first started with you guys? Was it an organic thing between you both?
So Haunted Shores was a local band that I started in Washington, D.C. in the mid 2000s.
Right.
I'm 73 years old. And no, I'm just kidding. I started when I was fresh out of college, in Washington, D.C. And there was a local band called Periphery. And it was Misha and Jake and who else was in that band? Spencer was not in the band. Matt was not in the band. Misha and Jake were the only original members then.
Mm-hmm.
And I became friends with them. And Haunted Shores, my band, my brother was in the band too. We played local gigs with Periphery in the Washington, D.C. area, like 2006, 2007. And when that band broke up, when Haunted Shores broke up, I came to Misha. I was like, hey, man, like I want to, try and breathe some life into this project, Haunted Shores. Nobody wants to be in the band with me. I guess I was an asshole back then. And then he was like, yeah, I'll co-produce it, or I'll produce it for you. I'll co-write with you if you want. And then
Awesome.
I got into a room with them. This was like 2008, I think. And the energy and the chemistry between Misha and I, and this is what laid the foundation for me joining Periphery shortly after, was like, we had such a palpable writing chemistry, almost like sibling-like. And it just took off. And I was like, dude, we should just like make this the project, you and me,
Yeah.
like Haunted Shores, like
Let's go
this
with
will be
it.
our project. And he agreed. And then I joined Periphery 2 years later. And the rest is kind of history. Haunted Shores has been something that we do when we have time. So like the last Haunted Shores record came out 6 years ago. We obviously had a lot of time this time.
Yeah.
And I wrote the sort of beginning stages of the record here at home in this room. And then I took it to Misha's place, and then we fleshed out the rest of the record. And it's crazy. It's crazy people music. Remember I was telling you about the sort of stress and the anxiety over the pandemic?
Yeah.
I feel like that is where I got all the negativity out. It's like having a punching bag in your garage,
Yeah.
uh, except it was just, it's an ugly, somewhat proggy, thrashy, death, black metal. It's all over the place.
Everything.
It's nuts. And like, you remember Devin Townsend's old band, Strapping Young Lad? You remember that band?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So I wanted something to capture that spirit, to have it be like a little bit more down the line of like, old school death black metal, but just to have this
Mm.
really pissed off negativity to it. So I can't wait for people to hear it. I'm so damn proud of it.
Yeah, that's good to hear, man. So when obviously you're writing both albums sorting at once, do you find it quite difficult to determine what ideas go to Periphery, what goes to Haunted Shores, or do you kind of, as you're playing the riff, you sort of know, right, that's that project?
Yeah, that part's not so hard. It's that part's not tough at all. With that being said, there was one song called "Thanks Nobuo" that I wrote with Misha for Haunted Shores. It's this Final Fantasy's RPG kind of sounding song, and we intended that to be on the Haunted Shores record. The Periphery guys heard it, and they're like, "Hey, I know we never do this, but can we take that song and use it for Periphery? Can we peripherize it,
You have that
so to
one.
speak?" And it appears we're going to go that direction. So that's one of the few examples where that stuff is very difficult to predict. But no, I'll tell you the hardest part. The hardest part is just sort of allocating mental energy to this band, to Periphery, and then knowing that there's mixing happening with Haunted Shores, or like we have to listen to test masters, and we just went through that recently. But yeah, I don't know how guys like Devin Townsend do it, like juggle all these different projects.
So many
I don't know.
projects. I know.
Yeah, it's not for me. I have to be like, stay in one lane for a year, stay in this lane for another year.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the end of the day, I think it came out for the better. But yeah, it not the easiest thing to do.
You've got your connection with PRS. I'm imagining your signature models, both your old Core Line one and SEs, are all across both albums.
Yeah, yeah. I used quite a bunch of my guitars on the Periphery sessions and on Haunted Shores sections. Actually, most of the Haunted Shores record was recorded on this. Check it out. This was a limited. I think this was a limited UK only.
Yeah,
SE run.
We definitely had a few of them here.
Yeah. So there's something about this one. I don't know why. Like I've talked about this before with people who know way more than I do, and I'm like, why? Okay, same bodywood, same everything. It's just got a different color, but there's just something about it. Same exact pickups. There's something about it where it feels more satisfying. It just has this mojo to it, and like it kind of confounds me a little bit. But this has been my kind of go-to for the Haunted Shores record. I record most of it on this.
Awesome.
And yeah, I mean, I've used so many of the PRSs on that record and the Periphery album. So yeah, and there's some 8-string stuff too. I got the 8-string private stock on the wall. There's some 8-string stuff on the Periphery record. So yeah, there's a lot of PRS on the both albums actually.
Yeah, definitely. And I've certainly seen you, especially live, reaching a lot more for the SE guitars in recent years. I mean, when we have them come through here at the shop, they fly out the door. They're a real big seller, and the quality of them is just incredible.
Yeah, I agree. And then this is my sort of rationale that I try and impart on people when they ask. They're like, why do you play? You have private stocks, like you have, core PRS models. Why don't you take those out? And I did for a long time. I think around 2014, 2015, I took a couple of my fancy private stocks out. And every time they would see damage, I would just have a panic attack. Like
Yeah,
it was not a
I know.
pleasant feeling. It's like, oh man, this one's dinged. Holy shit, what am I gonna do? And people were like, dude, it's tour. It's like, of course it's gonna happen. It's bound to happen with any guitar you take on tour. It's gonna have nicks and dents and cracks and whatever. And then when we put the SE out in 2015, the goal was to make that, a sub $1,000 guitar. And also be something that I could just abuse live. Like I don't have to stress about beating it up, throwing it around on stage, just
Yeah.
the damage that naturally takes on tour. So man, ever since 2015, I've played really nothing but the SEs, except for when I have to play 8 strings. There's no 8-string SE model out, so I take that one. But yeah, I mean, it's just a rock fucking solid guitar, and everything that I need, it handles perfectly on tour, and it's meant to be abused live. That's what I tell people. So
Yeah, I mean, and like I say, when they come in the shop, they come in, they get photographed, and they're gone straight away. We have so many people always asking when the next Holcomb's coming in. People love them.
no, that's awesome. That makes me so happy, and I've noticed that over the past 6-7 years they've been out. Like I didn't know if other people would find them as cool as I did when we first released them. Mainly, it was designed as like a selfish guitar. It's like, what kind of PRS do you want to do? And I was like, I wanted to have a table flat radius, and have these very specific pickups in them made by Duncan, and have this feel on the neck, and have a 25.5-inch scale line, just things that are very selfishly
Yeah.
designed. And then I was just like, people are probably going to hate this guitar because it's not a typical PRS. And then, yeah, I mean, it's been a pleasant surprise to see over the past 6 or 7 years to see how it's been received at large by people. And I see them all the time, like, doing clinics and doing shows. People bring them to shows, and it's awesome, man. Like and it's cooler on another level too, to see that people have the same unique sort of sensibilities in instruments, like they want a PRS that's not a traditional PRS. And that's really cool to see.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what you achieved. I was going to ask a little bit about the initial design of the guitar. Was it something that you reached out to PRS yourselves, or did it sort of just happen in conversation?
It happened via just a personal relationship I had with Paul Reed Smith, because Periphery came up in Washington, D.C. PRS is based in Maryland. And PRS was designing the Archon amp, the very first Archon.
The original
and they
ones.
the original. They were prototyping it, I want to say 2013 or something like that. And they knew we were local. They knew we were up and coming in the DC sort of metal world. And they invited us out. I think it was me and Misha, maybe Jake was there too, to test out the Archon. I struck up a conversation with Paul. We hit it off. I saw him a couple months later at NAMM in California, and we were out at a bar, and he asked me, he was like, if I could build you a guitar, what would it look like? And I couldn't help it. I had to just basically tell him, everything that I wanted.
Say no to Paul Reed Smith.
Yeah. And he was very receptive. And I was like, yeah, sorry. I know you hate, longer scales. I know you hate this. I know you hate that. And he was like, no, I'll try it. And I was sort of taken aback. And the rest is kind of history. He's been just instrumental in making a lot of my dreams come true. With the guitar. Awesome. And with the things we've been able to do with it. So yeah, that dude's a hero of mine. And have you ever met Paul?
I haven't actually met him. Okay. One of my guitar building heroes. So I would love to. And if I ever got the chance to, that would be incredible.
He's a fabulous clinician too. If he ever books, once COVID is all done and in the past, if he's ever able to do a clinic out there, I highly suggest going and watching him speak, because he's like a living, breathing encyclopedia. And yeah, it's impossible not to learn something every time you're around him, even if it's for a cup of coffee. Like the guy will teach you something. And he's especially during that time when I didn't really know the value of Periphery. Like we were just kind of we were turning the corner from being this band that was playing clubs to getting into bigger rooms and like just kind of putting our foot in there on a global level. And Paul really stepped in and believed in something that he didn't come from. He's not a metal guy, you know, he doesn't come from that world, but he trusted me. You know, he gave me kind of the keys to the castle. You know, he put some faith in me, and I hope he's satisfied at the end of all this, you know.
I'm sure he is. Like I said, those guitars, the quality is incredible. And the moment they come through the door, they're gone, and we're trying to get more. So they're one of our best-selling models of all time.
That's awesome. Well, we still got a long ways to go. You know, like we'll see if we can. I'd like to do some more different colors, man. See if we can do some more different variations of it. You know,
Amazing.
I love
yeah.
Yeah.
I know you say you obviously use PRS, you've been endorsing them for a long time now, but I feel like I might need a bit of fact check here, but I feel like I've seen you playing a Silver Sky live sometimes, or during sort of Loon and stuff on your Instagram account as well. Do you tend to reach for that for more sort of for clean sections and some more traditional pieces?
Yeah. There's a song on the new Periphery record that I track with a Silver Sky actually. But yeah, I mean, that was me being really stoked on the instrument when it got announced. When did that get announced? 2018? 2017?
Yeah, and it was around then that then there's been updates with maple necks and colors sort of every year, I feel, since then.
Yeah. So check it out. So this one, I was at PRS one day a couple of years ago, and I saw it lying around. I was like, what do I have to do to just take that home? Like and you know, they're so sweet. I think maybe they gave it to me as a loaner, or maybe they gave it to me to keep. I don't know, but I haven't really said anything back to them since. But they were kind enough to, let's not really air this interview. But they let me take it home, and it was something I wanted to take on tour immediately. And yeah, like you said, take it on tour and play songs like Loon or things that require, you know, kind of like Stratty or coil splitty type sound, type of sounds and songs. And Loon was perfect for it. So yeah, I've taken it out on the past couple Periphery tours, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I blocked the trem. And yeah, it's a wonderful guitar, and it's something that I've tended to gravitate to in recent years. Is like, I have the perfect metal guitar, so I don't need to experiment with like custom spec super strats. You know what I mean? I don't need to do that, because I have everything that I need in the models that we've developed. So lately I've been just like, let me go find a Telly, you know, let me go find a Strat, let me go find a beat up old vintage Strat, let me go find, and that's why the Silver Sky to me was like such an exciting guitar. And like, you see what Mark Lettieri is doing with the Fiore.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
Yeah, I haven't played one, but I'm dying to, because it just seems like a far cry from you know what PRS has done in the past, and like that's what I find really exciting. I just, selfishly speaking, I have the metal stuff on lock, so I kind of want to try other things, you know.
Yeah, I mean, with the Silver Sky, obviously the pickups in there, they've got that really nice glassy, shimmery sound to them. They just work brilliantly on cleans with like a lot of ambient delay stuff and reverb, like using Periphery and your other projects. I'm sure that works wonders. It sounds really good.
Yeah, like I was saying, there's a song on the Periphery record that's in a wild open tuning that I wrote almost entirely on this guitar. But like, yeah, it's perfect for that kind of sound, for that kind of style.
Yeah, awesome. That's really cool, man. I'd love to know a little bit. We've spoken about obviously the past and the year that we've just had. Looking forward, what are your guys' plans? Obviously releasing the album and then looking to tour that through for the next few years?
Oh yeah. As always, like I said earlier, it's going to take some time. You know, we're still maybe about 75% done with the writing phase. It's just, at this point, we are more concerned with making it multiple steps above whatever we've done so far, you know? So it'll take some time, but yeah, once the record is out, once we have a plan, then we will tour the shit out of it.
That's awesome, man.
We'll be
That's
back.
great to hear.
We'll be back. I can't say when we'll be back to England or when we'll be out to Europe or back in the US for that matter. But, you can expect us to be back and ready to go once this record is done. So unfortunately, I have no exciting timetable for you. I would love to,
of course.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, like I said, obviously, whenever you guys are next over, you're always more than welcome to drop in. Bring the band, bring Jake, bring Misha. We'll get you in our new studio. Don't know if you might have seen this. So we just took on this new building, so we've got a new recording studio in here. We'd love to get you guys in and show you around and have you guys back down with us.
Yeah, next time we're around, let's make it happen. Have us in, and maybe we can do a clinic with the 3 guitar players.
Oh, that'd be incredible, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'd love to.
No, brilliant, man. Brilliant. Thanks for watching, everyone. This has obviously been Mark Holcomb. Make sure to go and check out Periphery and Haunted Shores project. Obviously, the new album's coming soon. Check out the SE model as well on the Peach Guitars website. And like I said, we really appreciate you coming on today, Mark. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, man.
Thank you so much for having me. We'll see you soon.